Okay, I'm going to get started by just welcoming everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone here this evening. This is our Sunday night meditation where each Sunday I come together with students here in the main hall to be able to guide you guys in a meditation session. And then afterwards, I'll share a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you. And then I'll open up to any and all questions that you guys have related to the teachings of the Buddha or anything you're seeing in the temples here in Chiang Mai or throughout your journey of Thailand. So I'd like to welcome all of you guys here at the temple and welcome to anyone who's joining on our live stream as well. Tonight, we're going to be doing loving kindness meditation. Loving kindness meditation is to be able to transform your mind away from anger, hatred, ill will, and all the lesser versions like frustration, agitation, annoyance, even the slightest dislike. Oftentimes people think that these kinds of things are coming from other people and that it's other people that's causing you to be angry, or maybe it's other people that's causing you to be annoyed or dislike them. But in reality, this is actually coming from your own mind. That's the reason why you can actually eliminate this from the mind. The teachings of the Buddha are to guide you to this enlightened mental state where the mind can be completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. By the time you get to enlightenment, you'll no longer experience any discontent feelings. All the anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, all of these feelings and others can be eliminated from the mind. And that is accomplished through training of the mind. So I'm going to do this meditation with you and guide you in it. And then afterwards, I'll teach you some more about the teachings of the Buddha and how this meditation is actually working to be able to transform the mind away from these discontent feelings. If you'd like to join for the meditation, the way that I start this is with some chanting to be able to ease the mind into meditation. And I see some of you guys have the chanting sheets, and you can get those over here on this orange platform. We have these chanting sheets where I'll actually be chanting on the way into meditation, and you can actually join along if you'd like, because you actually get more benefit of your meditation by doing some chanting to ease the mind into the meditation. It kind of builds some awareness of mind and awareness of breath as you're easing into the meditation. During the lifetime of the Buddha, he used chanting as a way to help his students remember the teachings. Everything that he taught was oral, so they used to do chanting every 2 weeks in order to commit the teachings to memory. So it was a learning tool, it was a learning device. Nowadays, sometimes people think that this is a rite, ritual, ceremony, worship, or prayer, or something like that. But you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't anything mystical or magical or anything like that. That during the lifetime of the Buddha, it was solely used as a way to help them remember the teachings. Where today we use it in order to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. If you read the English translations on the chanting sheets, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of that, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants by himself, because the Buddha wouldn't have walked around and said, "Here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me." This would be ego or arrogance if someone chose to do this. And by the time you get to enlightenment, you're no longer putting yourself above people and looking down on them, and you're not putting yourself below people either. So the Buddha wouldn't have walked around and taught his students to chant these things to him. But instead, if you learned from a teacher how to move from the anger, sadness, frustration, and all these other feelings that the unenlightened mind is experiencing to this peaceful and joyful mental state that is enlightenment, and this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, they were just helping you out of the kindness of their heart, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's where I suspect that these chants came from, is his students either during his life or after his death. So after the chanting, I'm going to then come in with some guidance on breathing mindfulness meditation, where we're going to be focused on the breath. And anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go and bring the mind back to the breath. This is kind of preparing the mind for the loving kindness meditation. So I'm going to guide you in a very short breathing mindfulness meditation session. And then there's going to be a period of time of just a few minutes of quietness. Now, I'm sure during that period of quietness, you're going to hear some sounds, especially out here in the main hall with the market being right here. You're probably going to hear the PA speaker. You're going to maybe hear some dogs barking, maybe some people laughing or joking. Someone here might even cough or sneeze. If your mind craves permanent silence, when you hear a sound during meditation, you'll cause your mind to be annoyed or frustrated. It's the mind itself that's causing these feelings because it's craving permanence. But you can be in meditation understanding that the world around you is impermanent and it's constantly changing, and you're not going to be able to be in a meditation where it's permanently quiet. These sounds are going to arise, they're going to change, and they're going to fade away. So when you're in meditation and you hear a sound, you can just be at ease knowing that the world is functioning exactly the way it was intended to function, which is with all this impermanence. So after that period of time of quietness, I'm then going going to move into some guidance for the loving kindness meditation, where you're going to hear me saying these phrases out loud, where I'll say, may I be peaceful. And you'd like to repeat that in your mind on the out breath. And then you're going to hear me say, may I be safe. And then again, you repeat that in your own mind on the out breath. Then may I be well. And then may I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. You're going to hear me saying that. I'm saying it out loud, but you would like to say it within your own mind on the out breath. Then we're going to move to these larger and larger rings where we go through these successions of groups of people that ultimately we're going to get to all beings. And what you're doing here is you're rewiring your mind to be more loving and kind. So you're going to hear me say things like, may mom and dad be peaceful, safe, well, and free of discontentedness. But we're not trying to change mom and dad through our meditation. You actually can't do that. It's physically impossible. What you're doing is you're transforming your mind and rewiring your mind so that now when you're around mom and dad, you can be more loving and kind. This is how your relationships are going to improve. Oftentimes people think that when they have difficulties in relationships, the way to solve this is to change the other person. But the way you're going to change and improve your relationships is to change your own mind so that now when you're in these relationships, you can function with more love and kindness through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. So I'm going to be repeating these affirmations one after another, and you can repeat them within your own mind on the out breath. And ultimately, we'll get to all beings. Then we're going to go back to breathing mindfulness meditation for a short period of time. Then we're going to come out with some more chanting. And that's where I'll just kind of share a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha with you and mostly just open up to questions that you guys might have related to anything that you're seeing here in Thailand or any challenges that you're having or anything you'd like to talk about related to the teachings of the Buddha or Thailand or the temples or anything like that. In terms of your body position for meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught. Seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would learn these different positions at different times because it's kind of like having a tool belt. And you would use these different tools at different times in your journey to enlightenment. And you would learn these in the various courses and retreats that we share. But oftentimes students are learning in the seated position. This is kind of like a primary position to learn in and get started with. So I'll give you guys a couple of pointers on the seated position. And then in other times, you can learn these other positions if you like. So there isn't just one way to sit. You could sit on the floor or in a chair. Maybe if you're at home, you're on a bench or a sofa or in a wheelchair. You can sit however you like. What I'm going to share with you are just suggestions or recommendations that you might consider. So if you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This is going to kind of help soften your seat a bit. And if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you like to just do that lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, this can impede the circulation in the lower body and cause pain in the legs. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets your hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. In terms of your hands and arms, the Buddha put his right hand over his left, and he put his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If you'd like to use this, you can, but it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way, because that's not possible. That would be a world of permanence. We live in a world that is impermanent, where different people are going to find different things to be comfortable. So some people like to put their palms on their thighs or their knees. Some people put their palms up. Some people might rest their hands comfortably in their lap. So you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. And the same thing is true for anybody who's in a chair or a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair. You can also sit however you like. Some people like to sit with their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles. But when I'm teaching in the classroom over there, I sit in a chair where I cross my legs. So that's an option for you as well. And then you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. In terms of your upper body, it's helpful if this is erect. With the sternum up and the shoulders back, it'll help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. Whereas if you're slouched, your mind's going to have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you're real rigid, your mind can be overactive or uptight. Meditation is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you like the mind to be attentive and alert during your meditation so that you can actively train it. So having your sternum up and your shoulders back will not only keep your mind attentive and alert during the meditation, but it'll also help you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to do some chanting here, which you guys are welcome to join in on, and then I'll come back in with the guidance to be able to help you after that. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Bhutang Mahakeva Bhagavanang apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang namami Namo rasa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo rasa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo rasa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Iti piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho Vicacaranang sammuno Sakato rokawitu Anutero purisa Dhamma sati satatawa manusrang Bhutto Bhagavati. Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Then I'll be back with more guidance on loving kindness meditation. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Continuing to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Repeat these phrases in the mind on the out breath. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May mom and dad be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May my family, friends, co-workers, and neighbors all be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who have caused me harm be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all those who I have harmed be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness in the suffering that it causes. May all beings, wherever they reside, be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be well. May all beings be free of discontentedness and the suffering that it causes. Now return back to breathing mindfulness meditation, focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. Breathing in and out. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Bhutang Mahakavanhang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Savaka Sangho Sanghang Namami คะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมอะระหะสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมอะระหะสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Practice and gradual progress. If it was some job or occupation or skill that you have, it was gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress that led to that. So getting to this enlightened mental state is the same thing. You're gradually training your mind through various tools and techniques that the Buddha discovered. A Buddha gets to enlightenment by themselves without the help of any teachers or any guides. Then they share their teachings for the remaining time of their life, dedicated to helping people get to enlightenment. And countless people will get to enlightenment during that person's lifetime. Then they will preserve their teachings in such a way that countless more people will get to enlightenment after their death. So the Buddha figured out how to get to enlightenment. And if you're interested in experiencing those same qualities, all you need to be able to do is learn, reflect, and practice his teachings to be able to see the truth for yourself, that they actually work to guide you to this enlightened mental state. His teachings aren't based in belief. You're not believing a bunch of things and then hoping something good happens when you die. There's also aren't any rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, or prayer as part of his teachings. If you're seeing these kinds of things associated with the teachings of the Buddha, those aren't the teachings of the Buddha. He taught you to learn, examine, and investigate his teachings, to reflect on them, to independently verify if they're true or they're false, and then to practice his teachings, integrating them into your day-to-day life to be able to train your mind. And to be able to get to this enlightened mental state, the mind's going to be completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. It will no longer experience any discontent feelings. By the time you get to enlightenment, you will no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. The causes and conditions that are producing those have been uprooted out of the mind. The mind is steady, stable, and unshakable. It's focused. You'll have concentration, clarity, and deep memory. In your personal and professional relationships will be really improving because you're not being bitter and harsh and hostile any longer in your relationships. So you won't experience those kinds of things coming back to you. You'll notice that when you're in the enlightened mental state, that you can't even experience a bad mood. It's physically impossible for the mind to experience a bad mood by the time you get to enlightenment. So again, this comes from training of the mind. There's more than just meditation that you would need in order to be able to get to this enlightened mental state, but you also wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation either. So meditation is important, but you also need certain teachings that are going to help you understand the path and how to walk that path. The very first teaching of the Buddha is called the Four Noble Truths. This is helping you to understand the problem in the mind, the cause of that problem, the elimination of it, and the path forward. In four simple statements that you can independently verify, the Buddha helps you to be able to see that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings so that then you can actually eliminate them. As long as you go around the world thinking that it's other people that are causing these feelings in your mind, you'll just continue to be angry, having stress and anxiety the rest of your life. All these feelings will just continue because it's not the outside world that's causing these feelings. What it is it's what's called craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations. The mind is longing, yearning, chasing after the objects of your affection. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, elation, thrill, exhilaration, euphoria. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, it gets painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. And the mind will just essentially goes up and down and up and down. This is the problem that the Buddha discovered, that the unenlightened mind isn't stable and steady. It's not bright and cheerful and glad and uplifted permanently. Instead, the mind goes up into this happiness and excitement, then it drops into sadness and anger and frustration, then it might move to boredom or loneliness or other things like this. But this can all be changed in the mind. Oftentimes people think it's the outside world that's causing these feelings. And what you might have noticed is that when you're experiencing anger and frustration and these other feelings, that you might have a tendency to push people away or push the situation away. You might have pushed people out of your life. This is called aversion, where the mind thinks that the problem is external, and if you push this person out of your life, that's going to solve the problem. But you can see when you've pushed people out of your life, it doesn't actually solve the problem because you still get angry, you still get frustrated, you still get annoyed. Or the second thing the unenlightened mind will do when it doesn't understand that it's the mind's craving, desire, attachment that's causing these feelings is it'll be bitter and harsh and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. It's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal, trying to almost fear that person into doing things your way. Or the third thing that you might do is you might put your expectations on people and try to pressure them or force them to do things your way. And as long as the mind's doing this, you can't live harmoniously with all beings because it's only a matter of time before you run across somebody who doesn't do things the way that you want them to do it. So you can get to a point where your mind isn't longing, yearning. You're not chasing after the objects of your affection, craving for things to be permanent because you live in an impermanent world. But the mind will crave permanence. So say, for example, you get together with a boyfriend or girlfriend. And when you get together with those individuals, you might be really happy or excited when you first come into this relationship. But then when you guys break up, you might be angry or sad or frustrated, irritated or annoyed, or maybe lonely or bored, or maybe even missing this person. Oftentimes people think that this is love that causes this. It's actually not the love. Love is a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well. What's causing the mind to be discontent in that situation with the anger, the loneliness, the boredom, missing this person, is that the mind's craving permanence. It's wanting things to be permanent when in reality you live in an impermanent world. Things are being constantly changing in your life. But if you have a craving for permanence, when you're experiencing impermanence, the mind's not getting what it wants, so therefore it experiences painful feelings. Here's an example that doesn't involve relationships so that maybe you can see this for yourself, because you can't believe what it is that I'm sharing with you. You need to be able to independently verify what I'm sharing. Let's just say you bought a brand new car and you were so happy with that car and you drove it off the parking lot of the dealership and you went to a store and you parked it and you went inside, and then when you came out there was a scratch on your car. If you're getting frustrated or angry in this situation, you're not a bad person. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just what the unenlightened mind does, that when it sees that scratch, it will firmly believe that that anger and frustration is coming from either the scratch or the person who scratched your car. Where in reality, where that anger and frustration is coming from is the mind is craving permanence. It's longing, yearning, wanting this car to be permanently beautiful. When in reality, this car can't be permanently beautiful. The paint's going to fade. The tires are going to need to be changed. The upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. If you have a craving for permanence, while you live in an impermanent world, you're going to encounter this impermanence and your mind's going to struggle and have difficulties. So there's any number of things that you could experience that is impermanence. So I'll give you one more example, and then I'm going to kind of open up for questions and see what you guys might want to talk about related to these teachings. Think back to when we were children and we went to our mom and dad and we said, Mommy, Daddy, can I have chocolate and ice cream? They said, sure, you can have chocolate and ice cream. Here you go. Here's your chocolate and ice cream. Well, we might have got that chocolate and ice cream and been so happy and so excited. We might have thought, wow, these are the best parents ever. They gave me chocolate and ice cream. And then the second day comes around and we say, Mommy, Daddy, can I have chocolate and ice cream? And they say, sure, here you go. Here's your chocolate and ice cream. We're like, oh, thank you so much. You're the best mommy and daddy ever. But then the third day comes along and we say, Mommy, Daddy, can I have chocolate and ice cream? They say, no, you can't have chocolate and ice cream. You're the worst mommy and daddy ever. right? So as long as the mind's getting what it wants, that craving, that longing, that yearning, that wants and expectations, it will experience pleasant feelings like happiness, excitement, and others. But when the mind's not getting what it wants, what it's longing, yearning for, then it experiences the painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. And because you live in an impermanent world, you're not going to always get what you want. So the mind in the unenlightened state is longing, yearning, and craving for things to be permanent, when in reality, everything around you is impermanent. So I'd like to invite you to look at this in your own life, because these are just a couple of examples. I can give you example after example, but you need to see this for yourself. Look at your own life. Look at a recent situation where you've been angry or sad or frustrated or some other discontent feeling. It could have been this morning or yesterday or maybe last week. Look at that situation with these fresh eyes, because at that time you might have been trying to blame somebody else. That's what the unenlightened mind usually does, is looks for someone else to blame for these feelings. Instead, look at that situation with these fresh eyes, with this new wisdom. What is it that your mind was longing, yearning for? And if you would have gotten it, you would have been happy or excited. But because you didn't get what you wanted, what you were longing, yearning for, your mind was angry or frustrated or sad or some other discontent feeling. If you have difficulty seeing this, let me know, because I'll help you. There's been plenty of students over the years that have difficulty seeing this. I'll give you just one example. One time a student contacted me and they said, David, I know that you've been teaching that it's my own mind that causes these feelings, but I can't see this. I went to work the other day and my house looked beautiful. And when I came home, my house had this craft project all over the place. My wife had this craft project all over the house. Surely it wasn't my mind that caused this frustration when I came home. It must have been my wife, right? She's the one who caused me to be angry and frustrated. Nope, that's not what caused your anger and frustration. When you went to work, you had a certain craving, a certain expectation. You wanted your house to look exactly the same when you came home as when you left. And when you came home, all you experienced was change. That's all that happened, is things have changed. But the mind didn't understand that change. It didn't understand you live in an impermanent world. Just like if it's sunny outside and you get happy, when it changes to rain, you'll get sad and frustrated. Or when your bank account balance is up here, if you get really happy and excited, when it goes down here, you'll get sad and frustrated. Again, the only thing that's happened here is change. That's it. You can see that there's no other person involved here. When it goes from sun to rain, or the bank account balance goes from here to here, there's no other person involved. But oftentimes the mind firmly believes that it's other people that are causing these feelings. So you need to be able to see this truth for yourself through independent verification, that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. Because when you see that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, this is very empowering. Because now, if it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, you can actually change that. You can fix that. But if it's other people that are causing you to be angry and frustrated, you can't change everybody else. You can't teach 8 billion people in the world to do things your way. So as long as the mind goes around with this false belief, this misunderstanding, this confusion that it's other people that are causing these feelings, you'll never actually work on the real problem, which is inside one's own mind. So the teachings of the Buddha guide you to being able to see true reality of what's truly happening. And then you need to be able to cultivate the wisdom in that by independently verifying it. That's why the teachings of the Buddha aren't based in belief. There are no rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, or prayer. It's about cultivating wisdom, training your mind, looking inward, being introspective, and uprooting the causes and conditions that are producing these discontent feelings. And then, slowly but surely, you'll start experiencing more and more of the qualities of enlightenment. So even though we say it's attaining enlightenment, sometimes the way to think about it is that the mind is already enlightened. Just like there's the sun there, and there's these clouds in front of the sun, and when you get the clouds out of the way, the rays of the sun start shining through more and more. It's the same thing, that the mind, you might think of it as already being enlightened, but it has these pollutions in the way. And when you peel those pollutions away and get them out of the mind, the qualities of enlightenment start shining through more and more, where the mind can be cheerful and bright and radiant and uplifted at all times. And this comes through training of the mind. There's no amount of rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship, or prayer that's going to produce that. You can't believe your way to this enlightened mental state. You need to be able to train the mind. And that's what the Buddhist teachings are doing for you, is providing you the guidance of how to do that. So So I'm just going to stop here and see what questions you guys might have about anything that I just shared, or anything that you're seeing in the world about the teachings of the Buddha, or anything you're seeing here in Thailand with the temples, or any maybe even personal challenges that you might be having yourself and you're looking for help or guidance with that. I'm pleased to be able to help you with those things. If you'd like to ask questions here at the temple, we have microphones in the middle of the room. There's one in the front and one in the back. All you need to do is get a microphone, take it to your seat, press the gray button. You're going to see the lights come on, and you can hold it up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. If you speak here without a microphone, they won't be able to hear you online. And then you can keep these microphones with you, because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can just share it. And if you're not using it, if you could be sure to turn it off, that would be really helpful, because otherwise we'll get feedback through the speakers and through the live stream. It'll make it difficult for the people online to hear. And then for anybody who's online, if you guys would like to ask questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom in the comment section, and I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand, unmute your microphone, and ask any and all questions that you like. So is anybody here online that has a question that you guys would like to ask? No questions? Okay. So I don't see any questions online here either. If nobody has any questions, I'm going to end class. Oh yeah, sure. There's a microphone here back there near you. Oftentimes it only takes one question, and then many more questions come. Someone needs to break the ice, right?
Thank you. Basically, I have one question. What is the solution to sleep deprivation? Like,
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
What is the solution to sleeping deprivation? Like, I have insomnia and I cannot sleep properly. So what can I do? I know it's related to stress and stuff. And how do I tackle this problem?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the core central teaching of the Buddha is called the Eightfold Path. This is the complete perfect plan that's going to guide you in training your mind. And that's what you need to be able to fully train your mind. What I just shared is just a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha. This week coming up, Monday through Friday, I'm going to be sharing the Foundation and the Path to Enlightenment course from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You guys are welcome to come. We're actually going to be teaching in our classroom over there, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And you can come for the whole course or bits and pieces of it if you like. On Tuesday, I'm going to be teaching the Eightfold Path on Tuesday morning. This is where you get the complete comprehensive plan of how to train your mind to eliminate that overthinking that you're probably having when you're laying awake at night and you're just kind of sitting there obsessively thinking about the past or the future, the mind just kind of ruminating like that. You'll be able to train your mind to let go, because right now in the unenlightened state, the mind doesn't know how to let go. So it'll affect your sleep. So you need to learn this path, learning with the original words of the Buddha. The vast majority of the world doesn't actually study with the original words of the Buddha because they've been fairly inaccessible to people for so many years, so many centuries, because they have kind of inadvertently not been available because it's so costly for people to print out the teachings. But what I do is I consolidated the teachings into 13 volumes of books, and then I give it away for free. I give it away on the internet. You can download it. You can take it and go print it yourself. You can get printed versions at our temple just by reimbursing us for the printing cost, or you can order them on Amazon. But slowly but surely, if you learn the teachings either this week, or we have courses that are over the, each Sunday and Wednesday, just little by little. We have a class that's starting today at 9 o'clock in the classroom. You guys are welcome to come to that as well and learn about this program that we have that's 7 months long. And little by little on Sundays and Wednesdays, I help students to be able to learn. And whether you're here at the temple or you're traveling around, you can actually learn because we live stream all of our classes. And if you can't attend the live streams, you can actually watch the recordings as well. So this teaching that you need, which is what every unenlightened being needs, this Eightfold Path, it takes me about 2.5 hours to teach it. And then you need to gradually implement it into your day-to-day life. One of the ways you might think about it is if you had a speaker system and you were trying to get a better and better quality sound out of the speakers, you might have 8 individual dials that you're tweaking in order to be able to get a better and better quality sound out of the speakers. Your mind is the same way. the Buddha figured out these 8 individual dials to be able to tweak into your life and bring into your life. And when you do this, it actually hones your mind so that your mind can perform optimally. And one of the things that you'll see is you'll get very good night's sleep. You'll be able to sleep almost like a baby again. Because when you were a child, you could sleep easy. Because as a child, your mind didn't have all that accumulation of pollution. But as you age, you took on this pollution of mind, which is what every unenlightened being experiences. They take on this pollution, and then as you age, it accumulates. It's kind of like when we were children, we all learned how to clean our body. Our parents taught us how to clean our body. We didn't want to do it when we were a child because we didn't see the benefit in it. We wanted to play. But nonetheless, by the time we were 10, 12, 14 years old, we started enjoying taking a shower and cleaning the body. And now we feel really comfortable. But if we didn't clean the body for maybe a few days or a few weeks, few months or a few years, we'd be very uncomfortable in this body. The mind is the same way. There's the physical body, but there's the mind as well. If you're only cleaning the body, you're not addressing this full being. And your parents most likely didn't teach you, just like many of us, we didn't learn how to clean our mind. And if you're walking around multiple days, weeks, months, and years without cleaning the mind, then you'll experience very uncomfortable situations. Some of them like having difficulty sleeping. So you can learn how to not just clean the body and understand that that's important, but you can clean the mind too. That's what the teachings of the Buddha are helping you to be able to do, is learn how to clean the mind and purify the mind. So his path will teach you how to be able to do that. But then you don't believe it. You learn, you reflect to independently verify, and then you practice training your mind. And that's where you'll see gradual improvement to the condition of your mind and the condition of your life as you're gradually experiencing more and more qualities of the enlightened mental state. You're welcome. Yes, sir.
Jan, oh my God. Hello. I'm asking about hedonism and pleasure. You were talking about the brain going, yay, oh no, yay, oh no.
Yeah.
Does that take you away from enlightenment fully? So sex, sugar, drinking, hedonistic practices, is that fully away from enlightenment, or can you find your balance and check yourself?
Yeah, all of those things, for the most part, which you just described, are all based in craving, desire, attachment, right? Longing, yearning. The mind is trying to have conditional experiences. So if the mind, say, using the one that you said, like alcohol, if the mind drinks alcohol, then for a temporary period of time, you feel some pleasure. But then after those effects wear off, then the mind drops off and it goes down into the sadness, perhaps, or you're maybe having difficulties in your relationships or sleeping or any number of different things. The mind goes up and then it drops back down. So by the time you get to enlightenment, your mind is just always bright, cheerful, and uplifted. But if the mind can only experience pleasure when it's drinking alcohol, when it's having sex, when it's going shopping or gambling or any of these other things, the Buddha's not teaching you rules or commandments to follow. He's not trying to force you or convince you to be any particular way, because he already got to peace and joy. He's just sharing with you how he actually did it. Those types of things that you mentioned are based in longing, yearning, and craving, where the mind essentially has these conditions that are met. And if you meet those conditions, the mind will be happy. So for example, if my bank account is this, if my mom and dad do this, if you're having sex, if you have a certain car, a certain house, certain things like this, all of these things being true is very unlikely. So it actually shrinks your ability to be happy. So what you're doing is you're training your mind to not long and yearn and base your inner feelings on these external things. That's what the mind does. If I get to go to Thailand and have mango and sticky rice and massages, I'll be happy. But if my flight is canceled or delayed, I'll be angry and frustrated. That's the mind craving permanence, where you can understand that things are not permanent. That when you go to the airport, sometimes your flight's going to be delayed. Sometimes it's going to be canceled. That's normal. That is impermanence. There's going to be a weather issue, a crew issue, a maintenance issue. Something like this is going to happen. If you fly enough, you're going to experience these kind of delays. But when someone shows up to the airport and they're longing, yearning to go somewhere, now if they're not getting what they want, which is for that plane to take off on time, now the mind is frustrated. That's the mind craving permanence. So the mind does the same thing, whether it's gambling or sex or alcohol or drugs or shopping. And it doesn't mean that you have to, snap your fingers and instantly eliminate these things. But slowly but surely, as you train your mind, you're going to see the danger in these kinds of things, allowing your mind to continue to do those things. You can actually get to the second stage of enlightenment and still be having sexual activity. By the time you get to the third and fourth stage, you wouldn't be having sexual activity anymore, but it'll take you several years to get to that second stage of enlightenment. And then sometimes people hang out there for a while, especially if you're young and you'd like to have a family, you have a life partner, maybe you're having sex, and that's something that you're choosing to do. You can do all the other work on the path to enlightenment, and you'll experience a significant decrease in your discontent feelings, but you're still going to be agitated and frustrated when you can't get sex. When you're having sex, you'll feel really great, feel really wonderful, and even for maybe a few days afterwards. But then eventually you're going to have a craving for sex and you can't get it. And now you're going to be angry or frustrated or sad or some other discontent feeling. So the fourth stage of enlightenment is where the mind is actually enlightened, where there's no longer any discontent feelings. But it takes time to be able to gradually get to that point. And the mind has to extinguish its longing, yearning, and its cravings. And it takes training to be able to do that. So I encourage people to start on the path with learning the foundational teachings, start training the mind, and not focus so much on the things that you're giving up and you're eliminating, because yes, there's certain things that you're going to eliminate, but instead what you're actually doing is you're actually gaining something. I would have never told you at this point in my life that I would have given up sexual activity, because it's really great, right? It feels really pleasurable. I thought I'd be on my deathbed still having sex, right? But what you come to realize is after you do that enough times and frequently enough, you're like, been there, done that. How many times can I do that? And you start appreciating the peace and the joy that you start seeing in the mind with enlightenment, much more than this temporary experience that you have with sex. I'm here to share with you that there's actually something better in the world than sex. I know it's hard to imagine that there's something better than sex, but there is. It's called enlightenment. And an individual needs to be experiencing some of those qualities to be able to see that that's something that you can work towards. But I don't suggest somebody like put that right up front. If you're in a sexual relationship, you're having a relationship with a partner, that's not something you need to, focus on right away. But instead, just get started on the path with the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Start training your mind, eliminating some of the other kind of minor cravings, desires, attachments that the mind's longing, yearning, and chasing after. And then you'll see more and more peace coming into the mind. And then you'll be more convinced that this is working. And then you'll be more interested in looking at some other things that you can eliminate out of your life so that you can then gain more and more peace. And instead of chasing, which can be very exhausting to go into the world chasing after things, and instead of swinging all the way over here where the mind's dull and lethargic and complacent, because that's what the mind will tend to do when you're not chasing, instead the Buddha is inviting you to come to the middle where you can gradually pursue your goals, objectives, or interests with enthusiasm and ambition and motivation. And it just takes training to be able to understand how to move the mind to that point. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. We have a couple of mics around that you can get.
Hi, I have a question. I would like to ask, how would you balance ambition and fulfillment? Let's say someone who's very ambitious about their career or a certain lifestyle, they usually have a lot of blockers on the road, and which leads to frustration. And in a Buddha's perspective, is it bad to have ambition as a person?
Sure. Yeah. So the Buddha's not teaching you what's good or bad. It's best to not think about things in those terms, but instead what's wise and unwise, because that's what's going to help you to be able to see how to move your mind forward. So oftentimes in the unenlightened state, people will chase after things based in craving, desire, attachment. If they want a new house or a new car or something like this, they will chase after more money and they will chase after a job. And as long as they're chasing, you can get quite exhausted and you can have difficulties and struggles along the way. And if you get what you want, you're happy. And if you don't get what you want, you feel angry or sad. But even if you get what you want in that scenario, eventually that happiness wears off. That you might be chasing $50,000 a year salary, and you chase it, and you get it, and you're happy. But then in a matter of months, it fades away. And now you want 60 or 70 or 80,000. And then you chase that for a while, right? And now you chase that and you really want that, and then you get it, and then the happiness fades away over time. So as long as you're chasing with craving, desire, attachment, and using that as a motivating factor, eventually those cravings are going to burn out and your mind's going to end up in the painful feelings. And as long as you're chasing, you can't be motivated long term because you're only motivated as long as you're chasing. Otherwise, the mind swings over here where it's dull and lethargic or complacent or lazy. So this middle way that the Buddha is teaching, there's ambition there, there's enthusiasm, there's motivation, but it's coming from your wise decision making rather than chasing and craving and all those kinds of things. So for example, for me, I'm highly motivated to see these teachings reach the entire world because I know how important they are and I know how impactful they are in an individual's life. And each day, day by day, moment by moment, I make decisions to be able to share these teachings with other people. And I do that because I know how much this is going to help individuals to be able to learn these teachings and experience more and more of these qualities of enlightenment. If I was chasing and I was longing, yearning, and craving to share these teachings with others, when people choose to get up and leave, I'd be angry or frustrated or disappointed that people left, right? But also, if I was all the way on the other side, where I could care less whether people learn these teachings or not, there's not any peace and joy there either, because it's kind of like discovering the cure to cancer and you're interested in getting it in the hands of everybody that could use it in order to benefit from this peace and joy. So you can come to the middle, just like the Buddha and other people, where you're gradually pursuing things as a goal, objective, or interest with motivation, with ambition, with enthusiasm, but you're doing it through wise decision making rather than craving and longing and yearning. Because if you're craving, longing, and yearning, not only will that craving burn out, but you can only be happy if you get what you want. The Buddha had this similar goal for his teachings to reach the entire world, but he knew it wasn't going to be during his lifetime. So he was actually pursuing a goal that he knew that he would never actually be able to obtain during his lifetime, because he lived in a very small region of the world that we refer to as Northeast India and Nepal. And those people only spoke a certain language during his lifetime. So he couldn't share his teachings across the entire world. It's only now that these teachings can really truly reach the entire world based on the international language of English, based on technology, being able to live stream things, and based on ease of travel, that we can travel easily throughout the world. So this goal that he had to reach the entire world with his teachings, it wasn't going to happen during his lifetime. So the mind can learn how to pursue a goal, objective, or interest with ambition and enthusiasm, and can maintain its contentedness either way. Because oftentimes if people are chasing something, they might call it a goal, and if they get it, they're happy, and if they don't get it, they're sad or frustrated. That's not a true goal. That's a craving, desire, attachment masquerading as a goal. A true goal, you can work towards it, and whether you obtain it or not, you can maintain your peace, so you can maintain your joy. You're not basing your inner feelings on whether you accomplish that thing or not. And this is where the Eightfold Path will help an individual to learn how to accomplish that and how to train your mind to come to the middle and pursue things with ambition and enthusiasm, but through wise decision making rather than chasing. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Let me just check here online. Okay, I don't see any here either. So what I'm going to do is just end by thanking all of you guys for joining. Thank you for your interest to learn and understand the teachings of the Buddha. If you guys would like to learn more, you're more than welcome to. There's plenty of opportunities for you. This evening at 9 p.m. over in our classroom, we're going to be doing breathing mindfulness meditation, and I'm going to be introducing students to what the teachings of the Buddha are and what they are not. And then I'm going to help students to understand this group learning program. It's a 7-month program that over the course of 7 months, you can learn and gradually understand the teachings of the Buddha, whether you're here in Thailand or you're traveling around. And everything that I do is available at no cost. There's never a time where you're needing to pay anything, whether it's the books, the videos, the podcasts, the classes, courses, retreats, even personal guidance. You can receive all this help at no cost, because I know with 100% certainty these teachings work to be able to help you get to this enlightened mental state, and I'm motivated to be able to share these teachings with you. So this evening at 9 p.m. I'm going to be sharing teachings over in our classroom, and then also all this week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm going to also be teaching in the classroom. You can come to the entire course or you can come to bits and pieces of it. It's up to you. On Friday, we actually have a tour where we're going to meet here in the classroom, and I'm going to take students outside to some other temples, a forest temple and a temple on top of the mountain, where I'm going to be teaching the symbolism, the artwork, and the architecture of temples, so that then when you walk through the temple, it actually has real meaning for you. Where right now you might be visiting temples and not really truly understanding what it is that you're seeing. Whereas if you visit a temple with someone who understands the artwork, the architecture, and symbolism, the temples kind of speak to you. It kind of comes to life to be able to help you understand what it is that you're seeing. So if you're interested in learning at any point this week or over the weekend, you can see our events calendar on our website. You'll be able to see all the options that we have available. You're also welcome to come talk to me, and I can help you get plugged in to the various resources that we have. So whatever you choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your evening. We'll see you next time. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.